So, I wanted to talk about this topic for a while, but I kind of didn't know how to explain it, so I thought I will just go on a flow and see what comes out this time. I wanted to talk about intuition. How to understand, is it intuition or is it paranoidal thoughts? Let's be fair, quite often everyone is trying to say that it's not our intuition, but it's a paranoidal thoughts or doubts or whatever. Literally, intuition or gut instinct, as people say, is something you know when you know. And the worst part about intuition is that at first you just even can't prove it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you know that something like is going on or something will gonna happen, but you, first of all, you don't have any proof. You can't even explain why you think that way, and it makes you doubt yourself straight away. Because you think, no, maybe it's my paranoidal thoughts and I'm just overthinking or whatever else. But intuition is quite tricky. I know that my intuition have been always very strong, but as most of the people, quite often I only put it on a back burner and I said, no, I'm just thinking too many things, and that will not gonna happen, that can't happen, that's not what goes on. Like, example, with my ex, every single time he cheated on me, always I felt that something is going on. I couldn't prove it. So, and when you can't prove it, you sort of, either you try to doubt yourself, or the other person makes you think that you are not right in a head, that you are crazy and things like that. The thing is, and what happens, like, for example, if women or even men as well, not gender specific, I'm meaning about someone who is cheating on you, and you have a feeling that they are cheating on you, what is the easiest way how to understand that your intuition is quite correct? Most of the time, it's simple thing, red flags. You see that their behavior has changed, that something is totally off and it's not as per usual. Of course, many times what happens, those who do something wrong, they have really great and reasonable excuses why they are the way they are. And let's be fair, they know how to hide things if they want to hide something. It's like what usually most of the people do when they have a suspicion that someone is cheating. They try to go through every single gadget what that other person is on, just to find the proof that you don't think that you are paranoid. Most of the times what happens, either you can't log in because they have password so specific that you even can't imagine. Other thing, even if you have an access to the gadgets, most of the time all the proof is gone. You will not gonna find anything. And in my case, what happened, there were two, like, every single time if someone is doing something wrong, at some point it will gonna come out, and that will gonna prove that your intuition have been correct. In my case scenario, first scenario was that I felt that something is off, and first thing what came out, I misheard his two friends talking in between each other that he has someone else. And when I confronted him about that, he said, no, they are lying, they just probably make up stories or whatever. And you know, when you actually want to believe that, because, but if you still feel that something is so off, that those are just excuses, but you don't want to appear like, oh, and then they quite often they start to blame you. Oh, you don't trust me, you don't believe me, and that makes you feel even bad about that you even thought about it. What I did on the first time, because I know that my ex has a weakness to alcohol, so I got him drunk, and then when he was drunk, he started to talk, and everything came out like on a silver plate. Everything. And that was all what I needed on that moment, simply because I don't want to live with someone who is doing whatever and feel whatever towards me, so what's the point? When we, after a while, when he came back begging like to take him back, and everything is like, we will gonna be great, we need to save family, blah 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 blah. So for a brief moment it seemed again everything was all right, and then one day out of the blue again I had a feeling that something is wrong. And that time it was just like that feeling just came on out of the blue. And the only reason how, it's not like a reason, it's like the only way I could find out that back then, I didn't have any chance to find it out in any way, but one night he wasn't home. He had an excuse that he took one friend to a different city because his girlfriend is there. And when I said, so you were gonna come back home, he said, no, what's the point? We were gonna drive back and forth. I can stay there and la la la. Of course, that every normal, reasonable person will understand that something is wrong. But if he's trying to prove that no, everything is so great, everything is fine, and I love you so much, and all these blah blahs, yeah, you sort of think, I have this feeling that he has someone else, but I can't prove it. And on that night, one of his friends were calling me, and he asked, is he home? And I said, no, he's not home. And he said, oh, did he went again to his slag? Let's put it nicer, in a nice way, because he said even more rude word. And I was like, I said, I guess so. And then that guy on the other end, he was like, oh my, I shouldn't tell that, right? You didn't know about it. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. I had a feeling he has, so no big deal, really. So this is another way. It can come out really in a coincidental way. So whoever tries to hide something, it will gonna come out anyway at some point, sooner or later. And many times after that, I had this intuition playing hard, but still I blank it out. I don't know, was it like a fright of the fact that I could be right? And still in the end I was right, but the fact, like, on that moment you sort of try to ignore your intuition so much that you are doing damage to yourself. So I remember there was like, when my intuition was quite high playing, was when I met Shane. I had a feeling after a while that he will gonna leave me. And then when we had this already talk about the fact that he said that he needs to do this thing and we have to go separate ways, and I said, and on that moment I said, I knew it was gonna happen. And his question was, then why did you even carry it on everything if you knew that it was gonna happen? My answer was, I don't know. I just felt that I have to. So that's quite an unexplainable thing. It's like, you know when you know, but you still do that. Well, in this case was a little different. So I know why I know why I was doing that. It was for a certain reason, but in other cases, like just lately, I think, yeah, probably when I started to be more awakened and what happened like around 2 years ago, I think I started to listen to my intuition more, and quite often, even if it was the case that I can't really change anything, it was like just my intuition, that and that will gonna happen, or it will gonna end up in that and that way. Most of the times it happened, and I was thinking, how am I supposed to control myself and know when actually my intuition is correct? How am I supposed to get to the point that I actually start to listen to myself more? And the funniest thing, I don't know how to explain, but I just started to do that. And as funny as it is, many times, it's like just recently I had like a chat with one guy randomly, and it's like we were chatting, it was all okay, and suddenly he said something when I was like, oh, that will not gonna go to the right way. And word by word, our chat wasn't way too long, and after a while, and I started to feel that there's something dodgy about him, but I couldn't understand what. And it turned out like when we got to the point when we started to talk, then I got the answer to my question, what is so dodgy about him? He was so still broken person that he was so like upset about every single woman in the whole wild world, that he started, oh, you are the same as all the women, you are this and you are that, and he started to say things, and I was like, oh my god. And all I told him was, just wow, and I said, I think our ways are separating here, so that's it. And the biggest, quite recent, what happened in April, luckily didn't end up with anything more, simply because then my intuition kicked in big time. That was the first time when it was like actually probably not just giving me this nudging feeling, but it was like ringing the all possible bells. And luckily it was that way, that I listened to my intuition, because I was that close to get into the narcissist, like on the narcissist lead. It was so, I can't even explain, but that was so kind of weird how it happened. Just so many things. And it's like, once again, when you get in touch with a narcissist, that's just so freaking crazy, because they know what to say, how to act, and they will gonna make everything in a way that they make you look like you are so paranoidal and crazy that in the end you start to doubt yourself big time. But the fact that he got on me and I wasn't doubting myself, because those red flags were one after another, and I just felt something is so wrong. So, and then again, the universe kicked in as well. So, really coincidental thing happened. I got in touch with a person who actually knew that person, and the things what that person told me was like, oh my god. I am so grateful that my intuition kicked in, that universe just led me towards that person who could literally warn me about what's going on, and it turned out so correct. Literally, I escaped someone who is psychopathic, stalker, but not towards me, but that other person. And I thought I'm so lucky, big time. So lucky. Literally so lucky. So yeah, that's like, so in the end of the day, intuition, I think it's more easier to listen to your intuition when you already have worked on yourself and you have dealt with your inner demons, when you know your shadow side already, and then it's easier to understand, is it overthinking because you just sit and overthink something, or is it actually intuition? Besides, that's one thing with me. I don't call it intuition. It's just, this is one scary part of me. I am quite scared of that part of myself. I had few times, how I call them, run through thoughts. It's just something just runs through my mind, and after a while it happens. It's really hard to say about it, but for whichever reason, every time it happened regarding someone's death. I'm not a psychic. I don't count myself as a psychic or who can see future or something like that, but it has happened so far 3 times. Recently I had another feeling, but I still hope, just because I said to one of my friends about what I had a feeling, I so hope it will not gonna happen. I really hope that. But 3 previous times it was all related to death, and in none of the times I ever wanted someone to die, because 2 times it was regarding little babies, and 1 time it was regarding an adult. And when literally that happens, it's just scary as shit. I'm telling you that. Honestly, if I could not see or feel what was going on through my mind when that thought just runs through, and when actually that happens, it's just the worst feeling ever. Worst feeling ever. Especially what comes about children. It's like one thing I never wish to anyone. It's when you experience death of the child, unborn child, born child. That's something what I don't wish to my biggest enemy. Even though maybe I have enemies, I have no idea. I don't count anyone as my enemy. But the thing is, like, even to those people whom I don't like the most, even to them I don't wish anything like that, to experience something like that, because children are so innocent souls. They are. Never mind. Right. So, intuition. So, overall, intuition is your inner knowing, and if you see a red flags, that means that quite possible your intuition is right. But don't count intuition as when you sit down and start to think, and then you think and think and think. But I mean the feeling, just this feeling, what you can't even explain why you have this feeling. That's when your intuition works. And quite often it's like you know when you know, and you can't even prove it or explain it, you just know. Sometimes you have to sit in peace with yourself to understand where is your paranoidal overthinking and when is actually intuition. If you will gonna work on yourself hard enough, you will gonna start to recognize that. So I know not many people have strong intuition, but I mean, if you ever came across that you knew that something is going on, and afterwards it proved that yes, it was like that, then you have to start to think, maybe you should listen more carefully to what your soul is trying to tell you, because intuition is when your soul is giving you inner knowing about something. So sit down, think, calm yourself, and maybe you will find many answers to many questions regarding your intuition or regarding any situation you are in, and then you will just start to realize when it's intuition and when it's not. See you in the next video.